it was a very dramatic situation because at the same time we have another film called Dragon In going on in our company.
So, also adaptation of The King Who?
Yes. And that film was supposed to be started by Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh, a big cast movie. And the investor was a very powerful gangster head. and actually we were in a very funny situation that that we have another film called Dragon and going on at the same time with the company, and they're doing it, and when we're doing it, and we're also doing it at the same time. So that means we have to compete in the market for that. But after a while, after I think a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, one morning I picked up the phone, and the reporter called me up and said, "What do you think of the death of that investor?" His name, right? You know about this situation. I said, "What? Are you joking? Is it silly? This, you are talking, telling me a joke or something like this?" No. The news is the investor was killed 11 o'clock this morning. 4 bullets in the head. I said, "Do you have anything to say about this?" I said, "I have nothing to say." I don't even know how to respond to this situation. So then we, so the situation that their film was not made, and we went on to do this one. And so, but anyway, we are very tight on schedule, and so basically, we are shooting we were doing it in 2 units. One unit was in Dunhuang, shooting the exterior, and another unit was shooting in Hong Kong. And I was a person who did the shooting in Hong Kong. And then we are arranging all the schedule with Bridget, Maggie, and Tony, who should go to Dunhuang, and who should stay, and then, exchange the actor and that sort of things. And so we sent Bridget over to Dunhuang pretty much earlier. And then by the time we finished what's going on in Hong Kong, I took a plane and go to Dunhuang immediately. And then in the transit point between Hong Kong and then Lanzhou and then Dunhuang, I met Bridget in the Lanzhou airport, and she was crying. I said, "What's going on?" Is that she has to go to hospital because of the eye. We wanted to see because she was at night time and this arrow shooting, and she was supposed to do this sword blocking the arrow, one arrow in contact with her eyes. So she had to go back to Hong Kong, for treatment.
How long was she off the shoot?
She never had the time to go back to Dunhuang again because we had a very short time. When I arrived in Dunhuang, we only have about 10 days to stay on to finish the rest of the movie. And she took longer time to treat her eyes in Hong Kong. So what happened is that the film was not actually finished. Her part was still some part to shoot. So I was sitting with the producer and said, "What's going on? Are we going to stay in Dunhuang longer and wait for Bridget Lee?" So about 4 days later, you brought in a double. I said, "Look at her. Do you think that she looked like Bridget?" And actually, the double have did some resemblance, some angle. So we have to live with that arrangement.
This movie, he's a great martial artist, but Donnie Yen is not known as the most deep actor. But in this film, he really gives a terrific performance. The character is really unique for him, and he's never done anything quite like that. Can you talk a little about how you designed that character and got him to perform it that way?
I think we were very lucky to have Donnie Yen play the villain. Because we know that Donnie Yen was extremely picky about roles that he played in movies. And so I worked with him once upon a time in China, part 2. So we're pretty good in good terms with each other. So in this movie, I asked him to be the villain, and he said okay. So then we have to do something about it, and then especially at the ending, this is something for him is not really easily acceptable for a person who have a very strong character
To die?
To die like that. But then actually we were actually very good terms with each other, and then so we have him doing that. And because in the previous version of King Hu, the villain was very strong. I think the villain become one of the signature of the movie, and definitely we want Dan Dominic to be one like that too. And that's the beginning of tradition of having Donnie play as the white hair guy. So and even now, like Judge D, Detective D, the movie, we have one of the character in white hair, and they already mentioned Donnie Yen. So is that a connection somewhere between Donnie Yen and this Detective D character?
Another one who plays one of the bad guys, Lao Shan, who is a Peking opera actor. I don't know if people know Lao Shan. He was the older Eastern Chamber guy with the big smile who kicked a lot of ass.
Oh, yeah.
But you started working with him around Peking Opera Blues, and I think the last time was on the Zoo. The Zoo film was the last time you worked with him, in 2002?
Yes, right.
Yeah. Can you talk a little about working with him over the years? And especially I'm interested because he comes out of the Chinese opera tradition on stage, and then when you have him in Zoo, he's performing in front of green screen with all digital. Can you talk a little bit about working with him for so long and what that was like?
I knew him from my project Shanghai Blues. This was one scene I wanted to do a Peking opera with Charlie Yip and the